question I get a lot is what scope to put on sniper rifles. I've been sniped from 100 plus meters without seeing a scope glint from the shooter. On the other hand, I've also been shot at from 200 meters where the glint was so large that I was basically just aiming at it instead of looking for the player model. There's a huge selection of scopes to choose from, and they obviously have vastly different characteristics. So I think this topic deserves closer inspection. In this video I want to check the distance at which scope glint becomes visible and or fades. I will be comparing very small, small, medium, large and very large glint scopes. At the same time I have a few questions I want answered. First of all, does using a scope myself help me detect the scope at a distance where I'm outside the normal glint detection range? Also, I've noticed that some players seem to have superhuman aim without me seeing any scope glint. So I want to check if there are instances where people can aim at you with a scope without the scope glint showing. And finally, what scopes do I prefer? The very small glint sniper scopes are my favorites. There's basically no glint above 60 meters, and even below 60 meters the glint is very small. The glint from a small glint scope is very similar to the glint from a very small glint scope. The biggest difference is that the small glint scope fades out at 110 meters, whereas the very small fades out at 60 meters. The medium glint scopes are a little bit different compared to the small and the very small glint scopes. First of all, the glint fades completely away at 170 meters. But between 170 and 100 meters, there's a gradual increase of the brightness of the glint. The glint from a large glint scope is very visible up to 300 meters. The size of the glint is pretty major. Interestingly enough, the very large glint scopes have the same fade distance as the large, 300 meters. The glint size is huge, absolutely impossible to miss. And now, what scope to use? The scope with very small glint and highest magnification is the SC Bullseye. It has a 6 times and a very small glint. The small glint scope with the highest magnification are the DS Farsight 11. It's a 4/8.7 times scope. Another interesting small glint scope are the 3X RFL optic scope. It's a 3/8 times night vision scope. Highest magnification scope with a medium glint are the Field 6.3/12x scope. The highest magnification scope in the game is 13 times with the Raptor FVM40. The difference in zoom level between that and the Field 6 is insignificant. So when you go from a scope glint visible at up to 170 meters on the Field 6 to one visible at 300 meters on the Raptor FVM40, it's a huge difference. That and the fact that the large and very large glints are huge compared to the medium glints makes me just want to stay away from any scope with a glint larger than medium. In my opinion, I will stick with the SC Bullseye for Vondel and Asiga, and for Almasa I would consider the Field 6. Now about the question if a scope improves the glint detection range. The answer is yes and no. If you're looking through a scope with a stated magnification, it will not improve your detection range. On the other hand, if you're using a red dot sight or iron sights that give some kind of zoom effect without having an actual stated zoom level, you will be able to see the glint a bit further away. Also, it is worth noting that in most cases, looking at a scope within its glint detection range with a scope yourself, the glint will be much smaller than normal. And that brings us to our last topic. In which instances is it possible to make the scope glint disappear? As we have seen, it's very much possible to do so under the right circumstances. It's possible to hide your scope glint while at the same time shooting at the enemy. So what's going on here? My theory is this. I think the point of origin of the scope glint is somewhere in the middle to the right of the character body. So if you're standing close to a doorway that is blocking the right side of your character model, the scope glint simply won't render. Same goes for when you're laying on the roof looking over a rooftop. The glint is simply not rendered here either. This is very interesting, and if you guys want me to look deeper into it, let me know in the comments below. Okay, that's it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and see you in the next one.